Okay, Lamb. Hello, Mr. Ristow here. I got your message about FRQ number 2, and if I understood you correctly, you were asking about part D, as in dog. FRQ number 2, part D, the prompt that asks about the diagram. And I think you were asking about, you were struggling with the diagram, because I noticed on your answer, when you submitted your responses to the exam, you did not have a diagram drawn. You had the vertical axes and the horizontal axes, but you did not have the PPC curve. So what I did here is I just took the liberty of drawing the diagram as it should have looked. You were just asked to draw a PPC. The PPC, in this case I have it labeled PPC1, should have been a curve that reflects constant opportunity costs, which means that it is a straight line, as opposed to, the ones that are, kind of bowed out to the origin, the curved ones. Those are ones, remember, that represent opportunity costs. That goes back to Module 3 in your textbook. But straight line PPCs are ones that have constant opportunity costs, kind of a 1-to-1 ratio, right? You produce one capital good, and it costs you one consumer good, for example. So this is what your diagram should have looked like. Now, the prompt asks you, and notice I have capital goods here on the vertical, consumer goods here on the horizontal. So what the prompt asked you to do was to label a point W to reflect the unemployment rate that you calculated way back in I believe it was part A, either part A or B of that question. And if memory serves correctly, the unemployment rate that you should have calculated, and I think you did, I don't remember. Anyway, the unemployment rate, I believe, for that prompt, for that question, is 10%, okay, which is a fairly high unemployment rate, assuming this is the United States. So remember, on a PPC diagram, any time that we have unused resources, whether it be land, labor, or capital, underutilization, you learned this in Unit 1, the point needs to be inside the curve, right? The curve doesn't shift in. Because here we have an underutilization of labor, right? Because there's unemployment within the economy. There are workers that are sitting idle and they don't have jobs. So, and since it's fairly high, it shouldn't really be, here I'll use a different color. It shouldn't really be, over here, close to the curve. That would mean an economy that's operating fairly close and operating at their production possibilities, right? What it should be is fairly inside the curve. So I would have accepted something, way down here, right? That would have been point W. Or since there's probably a decrease, I think it alluded to something about less capital and consumer goods. Somewhere probably, within this range here, I would have accepted as kind of reflecting that 10%. You kind of just had to ballpark it, right? There's no exact number because this is not a diagram that shows unemployment necessarily, right? But it did allude to the fact that there were fewer capital and consumer goods within the economy, which means that there was unemployment in the economy. So anything probably within this area, I definitely would have accepted. So this is what your diagram would have looked like, okay? A straight line PPC labeled, and then point W down where I have it somewhere in that area on the graph. So hopefully that makes sense, and thanks for the question. And if you have anything else, any other questions, just let me know. Bye for now.